My name is Sloane Hart, and tonight I am the quietest person in a room built to echo applause. The Orpheum Conservatory glows in gold and glass chandeliers trembling with music laughter, and the kind of praise always skips my name. I stand at the edge of the crowd, champagne in hand, watching my father raise his glass for yet another toast to my brother's success. "Let's celebrate the golden one of the family," he says, voice booming through the hall. Then, as his gaze brushes past me, a smirk forms. Even Sloane showed up. Guess every family needs its beggar. The laughter follows is sharp and brief, the kind hides behind politeness. Someone clinks a glass too loudly. I taste metal instead of wine. But I don't move. I don't shout. Don't cry. Don't give him the satisfaction of seeing me crack. Instead, I glance toward the stage wings where Matteo catches my eye and nods once. His cue. Inside my clutch lies a slim envelope, white, legal, precise. The contract I drafted months ago waits in silence, patient as a storm. I smooth the fabric of my navy silk dress, lift my glass, and smile like I've rehearsed it. If they want a show, I'll give them one. Not tonight. Tonight, I let them drink. Let them think they've won. Revenge, after all, isn't chaos. It's choreography. When the string quartet swells again, I raise my glass toward my father and whisper barely loud enough for the crystal to hear. "Here's to contracts, Dad." The music covers the tremor in my breath, and no one notices the flame behind my calm. But's fine. The paperwork will speak for me soon enough. After the gala ends, the sound of laughter lingers in my head like static. I leave early, pretending to have a headache, though the real pain sits lower somewhere between my ribs and pride. The city outside is cold and wet. The kind of drizzle makes the pavement glisten like it's mocking you. I walk past the valet line heels echoing against the marble steps. Matteo is already waiting by the curb, engine running. He leans across the console, the quiet hum of the car cutting through the night. "You did well," he says. Didn't flinch. I slip into the seat and shut the door, letting out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. They didn't notice, I say. That's the best part. The envelope lies on my lap, harmless, simple white. Inside, my father's entire illusion of control waits to collapse. Months ago, when he begged me to help fund the new family venture, I agreed on one condition: all assets would be funneled through Hartson Group LLC, a company I controlled completely. He never read the fine print. He never does. Back then, I wasn't thinking of revenge. I was thinking of peace, of keeping my mother comfortable, of giving my brother a chance to stand on his own without the pressure of my father's temper. But somewhere between the insults and the condescension, something in me hardened. "Do you think he'll understand what happened?" Matteo asks, keeping his eyes on the road. Eventually, I say, watching the city lights blur past. When the hotel calls about the unpaid invoice for the event, when the credit line freezes, when the board meeting starts without him, that's when he'll understand. The car falls quiet. I reach into my clutch again, feeling the smooth edge of the document. It's not guilt I feel, it's relief. The kind comes when you finally stop apologizing for other people's cruelty. Matteo drops me at my apartment, a minimalist space overlooking the river. Inside, I kick off my heels and let the night breathe out of me. My reflection in the window looks calm, too calm. Tomorrow, the first domino falls quietly, perfectly timed. I will no longer be the forgotten daughter, the beggar at the family table. I'll be the one holding the ledger. And this time, every number will tell the truth. The next morning arrives with the smell of burnt coffee and rain off the balcony. I sit at the kitchen island, laptop open, scanning the financial dashboard connects every contract my father has ever bragged about. Each line item, every cent, traces back to Hartson Group LLC. My LLC. Mine. An alert blinks red on the screen: payment declined, gala expenses pending. Perfect. My phone buzzes. Dad. I stare at the name for a moment before answering. "Morning," I say, keeping my voice. "Morning." His tone is already sharp. The event manager says the payment bounced. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," I say softly, sipping my coffee. "Maybe you should check with accounting." He mutters something about incompetence and hangs up. I can picture him pacing his office, veins pulsing, too proud to ask for help. But this isn't about money. It's about control. For years, he's treated me like a walking credit card, a silent investor in a family only remembers my name when the bills arrive. When I was 15, he told me I'd never make it without his guidance. When I was 25, he borrowed my savings to start his new company, promising to pay me back. He never did. Now at 32, I don't need repayment. I need respect, and I'm done waiting for it. By noon, the lawyer calls. Sloan, the transfer orders are confirmed. The accounts have been frozen pending review. He won't be able to use company funds until the audit's complete. Thank you, Harris. Keep it quiet for now, I say. Let him think it's a glitch. Understood. You're doing this. I'm correcting an accounting error, I say, and I can't help the smile. That afternoon, I meet Priya, my best friend since college, at a cafe downtown. She works in PR, sharp, honest, the kind of woman who sees through facades. He's going to lose it when he finds out she says stirring her tea. He already is, I reply. I'm not doing this to destroy him. I'm doing it. He finally looks at me and sees a person, not a resource. Priya tilts her head. You think he's capable of... I don't answer. Some debts can't be paid in dollars. As I walk home, the city lights shimmer in puddles, gold melting into blue. My reflection follows me steady, composed, and for the first time in years, unafraid. Tomorrow the board will meet, and when they do, they'll realize who owns the family empire. The boardroom smells like old money and panic. I sit at the far end of the long glass table, morning sunlight slicing through the blinds and turning every face pale. My father's chair, the one he's occupied for 20 years, is empty. He's late. That alone feels like history breaking. When he finally arrives, he slams his briefcase onto the table. What the hell is this? He barks, waving a printed email. Our assets are frozen, our accounts are under review, and the auditors say it's by your authorization. Executives shift in their seats. I don't rise. Yes, I say. That's correct. His voice cracks. You've gone insane. No, I reply calm. I've gone incorporated. Confusion flickers across half the table. I open my laptop and cast the documents to the big screen. Every signature, every clause, every timestamp, all bearing his consent. Hartson Group LLC owns 71% of the family holdings, I say, scrolling. You transferred those rights when you signed the joint venture addendum last year. He lunges forward, pointing a shaking finger at me. You tricked me. No, I say. You ignored me. You always have. Silence lands like weight. For the first time, my father, the man who humiliated me in front of a room full of donors, looks small. Not because he's broke, but because he's realizing he's no longer in control. The general counsel clears his throat. Mr. Hart, the documents are binding. Legally, Ms. Hart's authority stands. My father's mouth opens, then closes. His hand grips the edge of the table, knuckles whitening. You think you've won, he hisses. You've destroyed your own bloodline. I stand. No, Dad. I stopped funding its decay. When I walk out, I don't look back. Behind me, chaos erupts, phones ringing, papers, shuffling men in suits, realizing their kingdom was built on my name and my money. Outside, the city looks different, brighter. Or I am. The air tastes clean, like something in me finally unclenched. I haven't spoken to my mother in months, but the morning after the board meeting, she calls. Sloan, she whispers, voice shaking. What have you done to your father? He says. You ruined everything. He ruined it himself, Mom, I say, looking out at the gray river. I stopped pretending not to see it. She exhales. You know how he is. He doesn't mean the things he says. Except he does, I tell her. Especially when they hurt. Silence. I can picture her at the kitchen counter, robe pulled too tight, eyes flicking toward the doorway in case he can hear her. She's been apologizing for his temper for long. She can't tell the difference between excuse and confession. Your brother called too, she says. He's scared. The bank froze his card. He can't pay rent this month. I feel a pang, but it isn't guilt. It's memory. I covered his rent for a year while he networked in Miami. He thanked me with silence. Tell him to call Dad. I say softly. This isn't my storm to fix anymore. Later, I meet Harris in his downtown office. He hands me a folder. The audit found more than mismanagement, he says quietly. There are offshore transfers. Your father was moving company funds into private accounts. I close the folder. File it, I say. All of it. He hesitates. If this ever becomes public, it'll destroy him. I look him in the eye. He's been destroying me in public for years. I'm evening the record. That night, I can't sleep. The apartment is too quiet, like the city is holding its breath. I sit on the balcony with a glass of red wine watching headlights smear across the river. For a moment, I feel sorry for him. Then I remember the way his voice cut through a crowded room. Guess every family needs its beggar, and the way people laughed, and the way my mother stared at her glass instead of at me. That memory has lived under my skin for years. Tonight it becomes fuel. Before I go to bed, I open my laptop and type the final authorization: ownership reassigned Sloan Hart, sole managing member. I press send. Tomorrow, when he walks into his office, the brass nameplate on the door will gleam with my name, the one he's spent a lifetime pretending not to see. A week later, the press catches the scent. Headlines race across my phone: CEO's daughter takes control after financial scandal. Family empire shaken by internal power shift. Reporters call it betrayal. I call it balance. At first I ignore the noise. Then a different kind of message arrives, a handwritten note slipped under my office door. My mother's handwriting. He's left the house. Don't come by. He says he never had a daughter. I read it 3 times, then fold it and place it in my drawer. I don't cry. There's nothing in me left, still wants his approval. That evening, Priya comes over with takeout and cheap wine. She curls up on my couch and says, "You did the right thing, even if it doesn't feel like it yet." I know, I say quietly. It's strange how quiet it is now. For long, my whole life was reacting to him. Now there's space. That's not emptiness, she says. That's peace. We sit in kind of silence, doesn't ache. The next morning, I meet with Harris again to finalize one last step, the reallocation of funds. "You're sure about this?" he asks. "Completely," I say. "Half of the remaining assets will go to the Eleanor Foundation, scholarships for women starting their own businesses. No more bloodlines, just beginnings." He smiles. "Your mother's name? That's poetic." "She deserves a better history than the one she lived," I answer. That evening, I drive past the Orpheum Conservatory, the place where this all began. The chandeliers glow like small suns behind the glass. Another event, another toast, another man on a stage selling the word legacy. I don't go in. I don't need to. I roll down the car window and whisper, "Here's to contracts, Dad." Then I laugh. Not bitterly freely. The kind of laugh belongs to someone who has stopped carrying other people's mistakes. As the city lights blur past me on the way home, I realize something I hadn't been able to say out loud. Revenge was never the goal. It was the road back to myself. Months pass. The scandal fades, eaten by new headlines. My father moves out of state. My brother finally gets a job, a real one, at a startup where nobody cares about his last name. My mother starts volunteering at the foundation. Sometimes she sends photos of the girls in the program, smiling in borrowed blazers, eyes bright with possibility. She writes, "You'd like them. They remind me of you." Maybe she's right. Life settles into a rhythm I've never known. No drama, no noise. Just mornings with coffee and quiet. My assistant asks one afternoon why I never changed the company logo, why I kept the old gold lettering reads Hartson Group, because I tell her it's proof something broken can still build something better. One day, while reviewing grant applications, a new intern stands in my doorway. "Ms. Hart," she asks, nervous. "Can I ask something personal? How did you survive all?" I smile. "I didn't survive it," I say. "I rebuilt from it." When she's gone, I turn to the window. Sunlight scatters over the river like shards of glass gone soft. For the first time, I let myself remember it all. The insults, the laughter, the quiet tears in parking lots after family dinners where I was both present and erased. But instead of pain, I feel gratitude. Every scar taught me where to place armor. Every wound showed me where I was strongest. A week later, I get another letter. This one postmarked from Arizona. 2 sentences written in my father's handwriting. "I read about your foundation. You made something good. I was wrong." I don't respond. I don't need to. Some apologies work better as echoes than conversations. That night, I step out onto my balcony. The city hums below, alive and unaware. The air is crisp, the kind carries endings and beginnings in the same breath. I raise my glass, not to revenge, not to victory, to release. Because in the end, justice isn't about taking back what he stole. It's about reclaiming who I was before he ever touched it. And I realize is the most beautiful revenge of all.